Now, as we monologue and waiting for people, I will say my stance on Pan-Africanism is this. It's an ideology. And some people act as if it's a religion. A lot of people, the main prominent people you see promoting Pan-Africanism, act as if Pan-Africanism is a religion. Okay. And they have become like religious zealots to Pan-Africanism. The reason why Pan-Africanism didn't work the way it was supposed to is because Pan-Africanism was never supposed to be a religion. Pan-Africanism was never supposed to be something that fulfilled some sense of lost self-esteem that people had. Pan-Africanism was never supposed to be about everybody being able to connect spiritually or ideologically, religiously, or anything like that. Pan-Africanism was supposed to be about a strategy, and the strategy, hold on, can y'all see my profile pic? Yeah, no, I can't see it. BX, I can't see your profile. Pan-Africanism was supposed to be a strategy. This is what Malcolm X was about. He was about Pan-Africanism being a strategy that multiple people of different ethnic backgrounds coming together, strategizing and working together, everybody pulling their own weight for a common goal, everybody organizing for a common goal. That was the original intent and strategy of Pan-Africanism, to unite for a common goal to dismantle the racial power structure. That was what Pan-Africanism was about. Pan-Africanism did not turn into that. Pan-Africanism turned into this religion where the continent of Africa is viewed as some type of deity. And because it's viewed as some type of deity, people directly from the continent is above reproach, is above criticism, and nothing can be said about them. Nothing can be said about the continent of Africa. Nobody can criticize them. There's no accountability. It's not about really working together. And there's a lot of people who unfortunately are foundational Black American who have fallen into Pan-Africanism becoming a sense of self-esteem, and then being able to quote unquote reconnect to the motherland as a sense of finding who you really are and not feeling a sense of being lost or abandoned. Okay. Finding a nation or a tribe or people you belong to. That's not what Pan-Africanism was ever supposed to be about. Okay. That's where Pan-Africanism fell off. And because there were too many foundational Black Americans who fell into the trap of having this religious ideology and practice of Pan-Africanism, it became very exploitative. All right. Are you following? Then you had a whole bunch of people who were able to scam other FBAs because of their belief of us all working together. So with that, there became this thing, this trend, which is now this permanent stance now, where Pan-Africanism has become this very one-way street where everybody gets to come and say whatever they want to about foundational Black Americans, treat foundational Black Americans however they want to. We don't get invited into any other ethnic groups' festivals or ethnic groups' things or anything like that. We can't partake in anybody else's culture. However, they are full-fledged family members who get to partake in every single aspect of our culture nonstop, and there's no question about it, because everybody is Black when they're here. Now, when we're there, everybody's not Black now. When we go to their house, everybody's not Black. When it's their festivals, when it's their events, when it's their parties, when it's their holidays, everybody's not the same. When it's us, when it's Juneteenth, when it's our culture, when it's Black History Month, everybody's the same. And that's a very unhealthy, exploitative relationship. Now, the people who are for delineation, they're for delineation because they acknowledge the exploitative relationship of their lineage. So they have decided to cut that tie and to really convert away from that, because they realize how harmful and detrimental it is that our culture and our history and heritage is being exploited. because now you have other people talking about they've invented this and they've did this and they've did this. You've had some Jamaicans talk about they invented hip hop. You've had Haitians talk about it will, if it wasn't for 1804, we wouldn't have been emancipated. So this is why there is a push for delineation. Now, I will say delineation is not a reactionary thing. We need delineation regardless of our treatment or anything like that, because we are different. And by lumping us all up together and saying, well, we're just black and there's no difference between that, that strips us away from our uniqueness, that strips us away from our special heritage, that strips us away from our respect. And to a degree, it also strips us away from a bit of our humanity. It strips us away from that. And that doesn't need to happen. You don't need to be stripped away from your humanity and say we're all this one blanket, labeled, indifferent, ambiguous black people, this generic African descent, in order for anybody to work together. No. You don't see Asians doing that. You don't see Hispanics doing that, Latinos. You don't see Caucasians doing that, Europeans. Okay? You will never be able to convince a Korean person that Koreans and Vietnamese people are the same 100% because they're Asian. You would never be able to say, well, you know, when the cops pull you over, they can't tell if you're Japanese or Chinese. Nobody makes that argument. Nobody makes that argument. Family, nobody. Yet, we're the only people who get told that argument. That, you know, when the cops pull you over, they're not going to ask if you're Jamaican, and they're not going to ask if you're a black American. Well, last I checked, when the cops pull you over, they don't ask for your ethnicity regardless. When the cops pull you over, they're not going to ask. They never do. The cops don't ask your ethnicity when they pull you over. That don't mean they don't know. That don't mean they don't notice that. The assumption that the cops aren't going to notice, I don't know where people are getting that from. They don't write different tickets. They write the same tickets. But regardless of if they did or didn't, that doesn't change our unique lineage and heritage. And we should stand on that and represent that proudly. And I want people to come up and for us to have, hold on. I want people to come up and for us to have a decent and respectful conversation about that. All right. Zizi, what do you have to say about that?
I am in absolute agreement. Pan-Africanism has become, a lot of the mentalities or the aura that a lot of these Pan-Africanists are giving off is very self-righteous, and kind of disconnected from the grassroots. It's kind of similar to how some of these people, some black people try to fit in with this elite ideal, and want to get higher education, and then look at those of us who don't have those same accolades as lesser than. So it's a similar feel to that, and that's what kind of I think is putting a bad taste in a lot of Black Americans' mouths, about it. Especially because delineation, even if you're not aware of the term FBA or Solon, some of the new terms for us now, a lot of us, there's a spiritual awakening happening. So it's like we feel it, we know. So that is just, it's kind of just deterring from us, because we know that we want to represent who we are, not, a whole, this idea of flat blackness. So yeah, that doesn't mean that we ain't for black people globally, because we know white supremacy is a team sport. So we're going to play in teams. But you got to get your home court in order. And that's what Black Americans are on right now. We get worried about getting our team order. There's some of these other teams who's missing players because these niggas is playing. So I'm like, it's hard to sit up here and push Pan-Africanism when everybody's not on the same accord. All right. Everybody's not on code, if we being honest. So yeah, Pan-Africanism is not the wave. I'm sorry. Delineation I think is the only solution for Black Americans. Therefore, I think everybody should be delineated in their own, to their own respect and their own lineages. But yeah, delineation. I'm sorry, but Pan-Africanism. I'm sorry. It's just this. It is what it is. I think a lot of us grew up with a Pan-Africanist, in a Pan-Africanist household or something Pan-Africanist adjacent. Many of us know the RBG flag more than we know the Black American Heritage flag. So it's not really like it's a new concept, or a lot of Black people, it's foreign to us. It's just now, we're on something different. We really are, trying to highlight who we are. We get reparations, poppins. We have other things, other priorities, we have to worry about. So Pan-Africanism just doesn't fit in that. So yeah, but you can absolutely be a Black American, a foundational Black American. You can have your own ideology. You can be a Pan-Africanist if that's what you want to do. But that doesn't mean that that's, the best, the most productive thing for Black Americans. In my opinion, it's not. I think delineation is the only way. But I digress.
All right. All right then. BX, you got anything to say? And then can you, real quick, set the decorum, and then we'll get to some of the speakers here.
Sure. Right. You could be FBA and have a Pan-African ideology, mindset and stuff. But I think that there's going to be some times where they have to still stand on lineage business, meaning foundational Black American lineage business, and not the idea of the transatlantic slave trade and the possibility of connecting to the diaspora. Well, I'm not saying the Caribbean doesn't need to go after the Brits or whatever. What I'm saying is Pan-Africanism is harmful because they expect us to be the custodians, the guardians, the saviors of the diaspora when the diaspora is systematically harming us. So if a Pan-African can't say, well, the Caribbean can't get reparations on our claim, they shouldn't be under our HAT bill, they shouldn't be under anything that's specific to our lineage because they get things for their lineage and their immigration status, then what good is the Pan-African? He might as well go to Africa and do the hard work over there and leave us alone. So that's where I'm at with it with Pan-Africanism. It's not for me. It could be for them, but they can't throw us under the bus for some mystical idea of a nation that hasn't risen in over centuries. So that's what I feel about that. When y'all come, it's annoying. They never want to go over there and live. They never want to go over there and do the hard work. They never want to go over there and build the infrastructure. The Asians ain't building proper infrastructure. Go over there and be the example that you be telling us to be. Go over there and do that, because it ain't working with y'all all throughout the diaspora. It's not working in the manner that they've been doing it. But I digress.
Came from Africa one point in time because that's where we came from, majority. But we came from the Africa regions, but we still gotta get you, we still American. But what I want to see is with the Pan-Africanism and the delineation, I want a lot of people to know that Pan-African was first from the 70s to the 60s. That was the whole hip-hop genre, being Pan-African. So it was first. The delineation didn't happen until like 2018. 2018. But before, it was just Gullah Geechee. It was just what you are. Most people say they Cherokee and all that. They be like, oh, I'm Cherokee. So maybe you were Cherokee. Maybe you were Gullah Geechee. Maybe you were all these other ethnicities we was before. But they have a just delineation ideology. Delineating is like being Pan-African, because Pan-Africans want to delineate and go to Africa. You know what I mean? I might be from Africa because I'm Gullah Geechee, but that don't mean I want to go to Africa, because I have more contributors and ties to America than any other American. You know what I mean? And I might be from Africa. I might be one of the Africans right now. I don't even know it. But I put more work in America than anybody else will put more work in America. So
Now can I ask you a question? What state is your family from originally?
Well, they from Savannah, Georgia, Statesboro, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, but we live in Florida. We have migrated to Florida.
Okay, they're from Georgia.
Yeah, we migrated.
Both sides of your family is from Georgia.
Yeah, both sides.
Okay.
But they had racism, so if you was an NIGGA, you was an NIGGA. You know what I mean? So we had to migrate to Florida.
All right. Well, thank you. You really gotta change that battery, bro. That battery is something else.
Something about that ain't sound right, but
yeah. All right. We're gonna get to Daddy Diesel.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry for itching to speak. Can y'all hear me good?
Yeah, we hear you.
Hello?
Good. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, my family, my mom's side of family from Texas, born in 1949. Family been here since, slavery days. My dad, born in California, but his parents were somewhere in the South. So I am FBA by lineage. Why do you call yourself Afro Elite, if I may ask, host, if you're rocking with the FBA thing, if I may ask?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I was going to, when I first started naming the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel a few years ago, I was going to refer to myself as Afro American. That was the first thing. You got a lot of noise in the background, so I'm just going to mute you while I answer the question. I was going to call the channel, what I was going to call myself was probably going to be different, but I was going to call the channel like the Afro Elite, the Afro American channel. But I figured that was a little bit too long, but I still, the name Afro kind of stuck around because I always saw Afros, and this is me just growing up. I always saw Afros as like a cultural hairstyle, but it was a symbol of resistance. The pro-black person with the Afro and the picking, his head and everything like that. I always saw that as a hairstyle of liberation and resistance and black pride. So I wanted to stick with that, even if I wasn't going to be Afro-American. So I'm like, okay. And at the time I had a much larger Afro. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And then I saw something, shout out to this one brother I was watching on YouTube named Professor Black Truth. And he said something about the difference between a minority and an elite is the power difference. And I'm like, okay, I like the word elite because elite shows a special, unique, powerful class of something. Okay, a unique something that you can have an elite group of people, an elite car, an elite class, an elite house. So I like that.
I
Okay,
got you.
because it was the best of black empowerment. That's what the name means.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
shoot, I'm past my time. I'm sorry. I ain't trying to hog up time. But yeah, you gave the explanation. Oh,
Yeah.
you can still hear me well, right? Okay.
Yeah, I can. It sounds like you're
As I was
driving, but
gonna
I can hear
say,
you.
okay. I understand checking disrespect from immigrants. I can understand delineation in America from immigration. Separating our, standing on our unique history. What I cannot get behind is, some of us who have expressed xenophobia, but also denying other black people when we step outside of America. I travel to different countries, so here's the thing: I'm Pan-Africanist in my mindset because anytime you step outside of America, I'm in the country of Latin America. A lot of black people there who came from the slave trade. If you know, Brazil has a
I
high
think, hold on.
black population,
To have
probably
a,
the highest in
hold
the
on,
Western Hemisphere.
hold on, because you're going in and out right now. Should we come
Yeah.
back to you? Let's just like come back to you because there's background noise and
Can
then you
you
kind
hear
of
me a
going
little
in
bit
and out.
better? Okay.
I could hear you fine, but you were going in and out. But
Yeah.
I get
What about? Is it?
see
Real
you're going
okay.
in
Let me
and
make
out.
my point to it. I I was just saying that if you encounter anti-blackness anywhere in the world, they don't care about your passport. And if you do a DNA test, I did my DNA test and it traces back to the transatlantic slave trade. 87% West African, 11% white, 1% Native American. So I say I don't know why we are alert. Why so many FBAs are allergic to
Okay, we're gonna have to
23andMe, or
skip. Hold
also
on, we're gonna
got
let me
ancestry. Just
address
split the
what you have
two.
to say. Hold
Sanity
on.
and
let me I'm gonna address what you got to say and then we're gonna move on because you're really going in and out. Okay, here's the thing. A DNA test, if you actually look at the fine print, because they'll let you know before you give your DNA to them, they'll let you know that the DNA is not no concrete proof of anything. They tell you that up front. When you get the test, before you send the test to them, they'll let you know before you get your results back, like, oh no, this is pretty much just an educated guess. They let you know that in all of the DNA, 23andMe, 21andMe, or whatever it is, all that, they all let you know, like, hey, this is just a guess. Hold on, you got to mute yourself.
How did
This is, no, stop, man. This is a guess based off of an algorithm that we have, based off of markers that we have at the time today. So you can't trace your DNA back 500, 600 years in the past. DNA doesn't go back. You can't trace it back to somebody who's not present today. You can only match it. And what they do with DNA tests is they use an algorithm to test the likelihood of it matching a certain region of people based off of the markers they have today. They let you know this before you give them your DNA. So the DNA test is inconclusive. You can't say, well, because my DNA test says I'm this percent this or I'm this percent this. No, there are people, and I want you to understand as well too, when you understand the science of DNA or the study of DNA, you can have your brother and your sister, you can have a brother or sister or your siblings come from the same parents, do a DNA test and have different results. Now, you would think if we came from the same parents, we came from the same DNA, so our DNA should be reflected. We should have exactly the same percent of Nigeria, exactly the same percent of European, exactly the same percent of Native American, but they don't. Because your DNA is going to reflect differently from other people's DNA because the markers are going to reflect differently. Okay, your DNA code, every single person in the world has a unique DNA code. That's why every single person has a unique set of fingerprints. You can have a twin and your fingerprints are going to be different. So that's why the computer cannot give you a concrete result of where your people were exactly 700, 600, 500 years ago, on top of the fact that there has been mass removal and migration throughout that time as well too. So the people who are in Nigeria today might more than likely not there 400 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So that information is inconclusive. You can do it if you want to, but for you to bring it up and then for you to say, well, I have this, so where's your evidence? That's not strong evidence. So with that being said,
DNA has gotten black men exonerated? Hold on. It's gotten black men exonerated out of 30 plus years in prison. On
yes,
top of that, it'll tell you who the father, if that's his child or not.
yes,
So
yes,
I will
okay.
go along with the science of DNA.
No. Okay, this is what they know, and now I'm going to show you that's not the same thing. DNA matches. Okay, that's what DNA does. You can take a DNA sample and then test another DNA sample and see the percentage of it matching each other. All right. So this is how people can find out who your mom is. You can find your relatives, your living relatives, through DNA. You can't even find who your father is unless you have his DNA. You, like, if somebody took a DNA swipe of somebody, they can't tell who their parents is unless they have their other parents' DNA and then compare the two. You have to compare two different things in order for it to either match or not match. That's how you can find your relatives. But that doesn't go, you can't do that when you trace people who are not alive today. You can't go back in time and trace that back in time because they have nothing to match it to, which is why this is just likely assumptions. These are educated guesses based off of a computer's assumption. All right. So that's what that is. I'm not saying that there is absolutely no accuracy to it. It may be. It may be, but for Pan-Africanists to come up and use that as the trump card is inaccurate. And anybody who knows how they test and how they get their results, they know that's not accurate. But let's continue. Let's continue though, because you still have noise in the background and stuff. So let's get to delineationist.
Thank you, brother. Great topic, great prompt. I really do like it. Salute to y'all. What up, panel? BXZZ Afro. Pan
Peace.
African versus delineation. I'm gonna go at it a little differently. I'm gonna talk about criminality, right? When I look at Pan Africanism, I see scamming. I see car beep beep trafficking of people. People making up excuses, ripping off our loved ones and our people, scams, all types of goofy stuff. When I see delineation, we trying to distance ourselves and not be around that type of nonsense. We don't like fake people. Just as a culture. We always pride ourselves on being a real authentic person. People, right, who do the righteous thing. That's why we're the moral compass of America, right? So that's what I look at delineation and Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is a bunch of excuses, a bunch of undermining, a bunch of backstabbing, stuff that we just don't get down with. So outside of that, I wanted to take it out from just the traditional way of how we look at it, but talk about the things that they do bring in our communities. The Uggs, if you get what I mean, that they bring into our communities, the pew-pews that they bring into our communities, and them sign with the palm-colored man and other agencies on behalf of it. Shout out to like the Shower Posse and et cetera, right? Zoe Pounds. And I could go through a list of all these little tether situations. That's Pan-Africanism to me. Pan-Africanism is supported by the United States government. Delineation is really not. We got to fight for that. So these are just some of the things that I look at it from a whole different lens and why delineation is very, very important and should be uplifted by every Negro, Black American person, FBA, etc. on this planet, right? It should be protected, preserved, and everything, all the above. So when I look at Pan-Africanism, it's a problem. It's a criminal behavior to me. It's to impersonate, it's to defraud, and disrespect our people. So that's just kind of my look at it. We don't move like that. We some real people. They a bunch of fakes. Just plain and simple.
All right. Alrighty then. Let's get to Petty Tendergrass. Petty
Hey, what?
Tendergrass. That's cool. All right. What's going on, brother?
What's up, brother? What's up, sisters? Yeah, I think the delineation thing is great. You know, I'm Indigenous Black American. I think the delineation thing is great, and I say and I love the word black, using the word black as an ethnonym, but I say my only issue is what they have black documented as on the census records. If you go to census.org, they have under black, they have Nigerian, they have Ghanaians, they have Caribbeans. All of them are documented under the title black. That's problematic, for us moving forward. If we're going to have, I have no problem with the FBA term, but we have to take black back to only mean us here on this landmass. The ones who have ancestry that built this country. I say that's my only issue when it comes to when we talk about the ethnic marker, is we have to take the word black back. We can't let nobody else use it.
Well, and the thing is that, and I hear a lot of people say that, and I get it, and I understand that because we've used that so much. Is pretty much become like an honorary ethnicity, but it's never been. When you actually look at the census and when the word black was officially used in the census, it never was an ethnicity. It never was. I mean, that's like white is not an ethnicity. Nobody considers white an ethnicity. Nobody considers Asian an ethnicity. These are not ethnicities. Black wasn't an ethnicity. Now, because we were pretty much the only
It's
black.
always a race.
Yeah, but okay, hold on.
Race, nationality.
All right, dude. All right.
Relax.
Okay.
Man, I want to hear this.
Because we were pretty much the only what you considered black or negroed, or what they at the time they were considered colored people here. We could just say black and you already knew who it was. You already identified us based off of that. But the thing is that that was never a it wasn't an ethnonym, and it wasn't a ethnicity. So for us to take it back would mean that there would be it's kind of unfeasible, because we would have to make it not a racial category and just an ethnic category, and then to say we don't have a racial category. In order for us to say that is to say that there are no racial categories anymore. That's the only way that would be able to work, is to say there are no racial categories. And then for y'all to for us
That's a
to
good
say
point.
that would be all like, okay, well, if black is not a race, then neither is white, and neither is Asian. And if white is not a race, then you can't say there's racism.
Well, I mean,
Racism is the subjugation of one.
you got a great point.
Yeah.
You
So
got a great
that's
point. What you're
why
saying.
the when I hear people say that, I'm all like, I think it's more feasible for us to just move forward with the ethnonym of specifying foundational Black American or Sulan or something like that.
I understand that. That was just my only worry about, when we speak about that, is the lineage not being an open door for everybody with melanin.
Yeah.
Where they can get grants and loans and all kind of stuff based on our ancestors that they don't have no blood ties to at all.
Yeah. I fully agree with you on that. Me and you are 100% in agreement on that. All right. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's get to East Bay Funk Group.
Good afternoon. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty well. Pretty well. It's African and Panda versus. Yeah, what I wanted to say about that subject, man. If you don't mind, I wanted to pose a question to the panel, and because I understand delineation, I think it's important because we look at the effects Pan-Africanism.
Before you go, real quick, your ethnic background, real quick.
I'm Black American, and also, or what you may consider to be an indigenous American here to the country. My people are Cherokee on both sides, mother and father.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so yeah, Black American, California, multiple generations here on the lands.
All right.
And so yeah, I think the question that I think I wanted to ask the panel that needs to be answered is we know that delineation is needed, but is delineation going to be effective for the outcome that we're seeking as a community? In other words, is this going to be a viable solution to achieve the outcome, which I think is, as you've mentioned, the solutions and what they look like may vary, but I think at some point we're going to have to lobby this government, whether it be locally or federally, to create some kind of recognition or a rolling back of civil rights. Because I think the bigger issue I see with it is how our civil rights have been watered down and expanded to all these classes of peoples who have no injuries from this country in the manner that we had. And so when you take your civil rights and you expand it in that manner, it becomes discriminatory to other people, because it's not just your remedy anymore. Mm-hmm. If it just was applied to you, then it's okay. So I think that's what I wanted to pose.
Whoa.
Can I address them?
Let me just say real quick. My stance personally is not to roll back civil rights. I don't think there's an issue with the way civil rights is. There's not an issue with civil rights being about other groups of people. The issue that we're having is that civil rights is not for us. When I say that, I mean the fact that when it comes to the way it's applied everyone else gets first dibs when it comes to the protections and the benefits and the resources, and we're the last in line. And because we're the last in line, we pretty much don't get anything if we get the scraps. So that's the issue. Is not we're not trying to strip away anybody else's civil rights. We're trying to say is that America, and this is what the whole civil rights movement was about before, America not treating us with our civil rights, and that still doesn't happen. It's not about taking away from anybody. It's about making sure we get ours. So
Well,
that's my thing. But Delineations wants to answer because you asked the prompt that the
hold on.
panel that.
Let
So
me clarify what I'm saying to you because I think we're both saying the same thing. What I'm essentially saying is that you need reform. Okay, if you understand civil rights came from the Civil War, it's an American institution. Literally, after the Civil War came civil rights. The first Civil Rights Act was actually inscribed in 1866. That created the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. What we saw happen in America was that it took 100 years for those 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments to be applied and ratified throughout the whole country, which is what brought about 1964. Well, by the time that happened, it became something different. They took it from being exclusively to benefit Black Americans, and there's multiple Supreme Court decisions and dissensions on this particular subject matter, how it was a narrow application of that law that was supposed to be applied, hence the repealing of birthright by this current president, because it became something that now doesn't benefit the class of people who specifically earn those rights. In other words, they took something for you and expanded to so many people to where it doesn't even work for you anymore. Matter
yeah.
of fact, not only does it not work for you, you're now discriminating against white folks. That's why they're rolling back DAI, because you can't take something that was meant to help one group of people and give it to the entire world.
Okay. So okay. All right. I think we were saying the same thing then. So
Exactly.
what do you, as far as moving forward, which is what you said, as far as moving forward, what is your vision of us moving forward? Because that's the first thing you said.
Well, I think you have to look at reform, man. You have to look at reforming and rolling back. You can delineate all you want, but when people can come here and exercise your civil rights and exploit what you've earned and take your cultural equity and earn it and use it as if it's theirs, then now you've become exiled in your own country. So we have to get reform that corrects that. Delineation
Okay.
is a process of making people aware, hey, there's something happening. But in terms of policy, we got to start lobbying local and federally and say, look, we need the reform to come so that whatever we had for us, like you look at affirmative action, for example, affirmative action was something that was a remedy specifically for Black Americans. But the first
Okay.
thing they did is they expanded it to the Asians and to the this and to that. Now it got rolled back. It's over with.
Okay. So as far as the reform, let's just be a little bit specific so we don't guess. As far as the reform, what should be reformed? What should be
Okay,
rolled
so
back?
like this president overturning birthright, that's reform. That's a
Okay.
major reform. Those are the kind of things we're looking at. You got to overturn things so that it's not applied to all these classes of people. It needs to be narrowed down to the descendants of chattel slaves and their descendants, period. If y'all want to do something else for people, don't do it on the dime of what the 1866 civil rights had meant for Black Americans. And so I think another thing would be if you look at affirmative action, that needs to be brought back and exclusively applied to Black Americans, and they need to have a way where you have to qualify yourself as a benefiting member for those. In other words, they got to look at your pedigree, look at your paperwork, look at your people, make sure you're from the lands, and then they apply it that way. So we got to start doing things like that and bringing those things back so that even civil rights, I think, when you think about, some of the DI programs, the disadvantaged business enterprise, that was a major benefit for Black Americans. It was one of the most important remedies that we've seen happen in this country after civil rights. And they've taken that. I was looking at a contract 2 days ago that an Indian guy got here
Hmm.
in California for $100 million through GSA. And he claimed to be a disadvantaged business enterprise. And I look at that same company, they don't hire Black Americans like that. So
Okay.
we're dealing with stuff like that, man, where not only are we being removed from the opportunity, the people are coming in and excluding us in a manner that we were excluded prior to having the remedies in place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing I would say is that what we need is that we need the laws to be practiced as they were intended. Okay. We need all of the stuff that we fought for to be applied as intended. For instance, the 14th Amendment. The reason why Trump is making the argument of changing that is because he's saying that the 14th Amendment is not being applied as intended. That's his argument. And that's his case to the Supreme Court, is that the intent was for the slaves and the slave descendants so they can become citizens and be treated as citizens. And now we have other immigrants coming into the United States and they're benefiting off of that. And that was not the intent of it. So when it comes to civil rights, the problem is not, I would argue, the letter of the law. Is the problem is in application. It's not in practice of how it was originally intended to. And I think we're saying the
Correct.
same thing with that. So that needs to be highlighted. It is about the people who are applying those laws and those rules.
Yeah, because see, what you have to understand, what Black Americans, what we have to understand, there's a lot at stake here, man. You're
Hmm.
only one generation removed from freedom at all points. So because you got something 20 years or 50 years ago, if you're not willing to fight for that every year, man, it's going to be taken away from you. And not only will it be taken away, someone's going to take it and ascertain it against you. So we're in a
Okay.
situation now where we're waking up and realizing that we've had things put on the books for us. Even you look at Field Order 15 with the 40 acres and a mule. You look at the Homestead Act from 1860 to 1862, where blacks were excluded from those things. There are so many applications and remedies that have been put in place. But what I'll tell you this is that policy-wise, if you want to understand where this came from, and it's important for our community to understand how we got here. But this has been something that's been going on for a long time. But in the 1950s, FDR created an expansion of the civil rights. And it was through his literally implementation and the rolling back and the expansion of the class. It was during that time where the civil rights became something that was expanded the way it happened. But this has always been an issue that the very, I would consider, traditional Republicans have stood up and advocated that these laws be applied exclusively to Black Americans in the manner that we're advocating today.
Okay. All right.
Can I respond to a couple of things that he said real quick? If you mind, Afro?
I can give you a minute because we got a couple more people who haven't spoken yet, and I want to be fair to their time.
Okay, I'll be really brief. I agree with most of the sentiments of what you were saying in regards to that, but we also have to talk about protecting these policies and actually having people to actually punish and investigate these type of things. What goes on is the lack of enforcement on all these policies that has been granted to us, the reason
Exactly.
why they're exploited in the first place, and the reason why we need to have a hate crime bill, protection bill, and such stuff of that nature to actually have the agency, the resources to back and support those policies.
Hmm.
So that's half of the reasons why. If when you have policies but no enforcers to uphold the value of those policies, all it is just words on a piece of paper. So that's what we're kind of dealing with, unfortunately, as Black folks.
Yeah,
So
there
I just
needs to
wanted
be
to,
oversight. Yeah, there
yeah,
needs to be somebody overseeing and making sure that the original intent is being applied. So yeah, we agree on that. Okay, all right, that's what's up. That's what's up. I agree. Let's get to legacy.
Briefly, though, the Freedmen Borough historically
Hold
was.
on, brother. Hold on. Let's because we got a few more people, so we got to be fair to everybody. Let's get to legacy.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Righteous. Hey, everyone in the chat. ZZ, BX, Afro.
Yes.
How you doing?
Been listening for a while now.
Peace.
Just in response to the prompt, I would like to say that the delineation movement is an obvious and necessary maturation and ethnic evolution for us. Like Pan-Africanism was, I think, almost a necessary rite of passage for us to experience those lofty ideals. And by us being like a relatively newer ethnicity, by us having an ethnogenesis here, some of those ideas we just hadn't tested against the world yet. And so this part of it is us coming to the realization that every people group is self-interested. And we can trust that folks will look out for their own best interests wherever they are in the world. and act accordingly.
Hmm. Yeah. Let's be honest. And that was the thing. You can't unify with a self-interested group of people. And if the general practice of everybody else is being very self-interested, so much so to the point where they're sabotaging other people, you can't force unity among anybody. You can't.
Yeah,
Everybody has to collectively agree and collectively be on the same page.
Yes. I would
Hold
like
on,
to
we
say,
gotta hold on. I'm gonna let you go, but we got a couple more people. We got to be fair, and then we're gonna get to you. All right, everybody got to be on the same page.
I was
And
just going to be real quick.
brother,
One quick second. I would just say to that, a common enemy, let's remember, common enemies do not equal a common goal. All of these immigrants will claim that the white man is their enemy, but where we veer off is we don't have a common goal with them, and that's what I wanted
okay,
to throw in,
all
just
right,
real
yeah,
quick.
and that's the thing. All right, we don't have a common goal. And if everybody is going in two different directions, if it doesn't, you can't get nowhere. Okay, if you
yeah,
have a horse that's dragging a wagon and the horses are trying to go in two different directions, where's the wagon gonna go? It's not gonna go anywhere. If the horse is going, one horse is going right, one horse is going left, the wagon's not gonna go anywhere. Okay, all of the horses, whether it's one, two, three, several of them, they all got to be going in the same direction. And
exactly.
it's better for you to cut some horses off and have the whatever small amount of horses going in one steady direction than having one horse that's pulling in an opposite direction or veering off or not moving. So that's what it is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I just wanted to say, because I didn't come in with my ethnicity, I'm a
Mhm.
Chicagoan, but my family is from Mississippi. I have one grandfather from Georgia, so I'm a foundational Black American.
Shout out to that. Much respect to
Yes, sir.
Chicago. There we go. There we go. All right, let's get to Keisha.
Hi, I just wanted to say, I have to walk into this restaurant in a second, but I just wanted to say that I believe that Pan-Africanists, and even though we have our individual ethnic groups, we do have a common goal, and the goal is the liberation and success of our individual groups of people. So while it may look differently for us on how to get there, we do have a common goal and a common enemy. So therefore, we should put our heads together and work together in numbers. It's like with Europeans, right? I want to give an example real quick. With Europeans, how they took over Africa, they all spoke different languages. There was the Germans, there was the Spanish, there was the French, there was the English. They all spoke different languages, didn't get along amongst themselves. We know Europeans warred amongst themselves for years, but they decided to come together to, take over what they thought was their enemy, to colonize and control the land of their enemy. They didn't have to get along. They didn't have to speak the same language. They were different ethnicities, but they all came together and united. Why can we not do that as BOK people?
Well, the thing is that as foundational Black Americans collectively, we've pushed for that and we've tried that, you know, and that's something that we're not opposed to that. That's a smart idea. That's why you've had Pan-Africanists come over here. You've had this America be the home of Pan-Africanism. All right. And the thing is that ideology has been collectively rejected by others outside of America. And then when they immigrate to America, they're still not on that page. And this isn't our first time talking about Pan-Africanism, but when we talk about, okay, we should all get on board, the reality of the situation is that you can't force anybody else to get on board. They have to desire that. And we can't make the assumption because it's what they should do is what they're doing. They don't desire to all get on one accord. That's not the desire of everybody. You can look in Africa today and you can tell they are not expressing the desire of all coming together and getting on one accord. They're not expressing that in Africa. Okay. Nor are they expressing that in the Caribbean. So it's not conducive for us to have this optimistic view, not even optimistic, kind of unrealistic view of how everybody else is going to operate. We need to operate in reality because that's the only way we're going to move forward, is operating in reality. If you were a chess player, you have to move the chess pieces based off of where they are, not based off of what you want them to be. You got to move the pawn as a pawn, not the pawn as a knight, not the pawn as a bishop, not the pawn as a rook. The pawn is a pawn, and you only can play it as a pawn. We can only play with the pieces that we have. We have to be very realistic about the board. And my issue when it comes to a lot of Pan-Africanists is they have this almost, and I'm not trying to insult you, but delusional view about what the board is looking like. And that's why nothing is getting done.
Yeah, that's fair to have that opinion. I just wanted to come up and share that. That's all.
All right. All right.
Have a good one.
You too. Thank you. Now, BX, do you see how it keeps kicking EJ off? TikTok don't like EJ. TikTok does not like EJ at all. I don't know why it
He's
keeps
the
kicking
only
EJ off.
one,
I don't know
right?
what's going on. I keep
Is he
bringing
the
him
only
up and
one?
keeps kicking him off. I don't know. But let's get to Noah.
But wait, he could have made now EJ. I seen him now on some other lives and he be cutting
No,
up.
I don't want to be on here.
Why'd you hit the request button
Okay.
then?
EJ, who did you piss off, EJ?
EJ, what'd you do? EJ, come on now. This is how you got so bad. EJ just got here. He got so bad they ain't even letting him up on the panel no more. What's going on, EJ? Come on, man. He been
But you
giving
know what you could
them
do?
that work.
Check your app for an update and see if that helps, EJ.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Y'all hear me?
Okay, brother. I've been trying to get you up here for the longest, man.
I'm like, what is going on? Like, what's going on?
Man, I don't know. They got some type of target on you. But we're gonna get to you in a second. Let's get to Noah.
Hi everyone. I'm just laughing because the last time I was up here was chaotic. But to answer the prompt, so my main thing with many of these conversations is why does Pan-Africanism and delineation have to be mutually exclusive? Like they can coexist, can it?
It really can,
Like the
actually. It can, because delineation is just about specifying your unique lineage, and Pan-Africanism is
right,
about an ideology of, unity. Okay, and that doesn't necessarily mean
right,
you're all the same. However, in practice, a lot of the Pan-Africanists don't like the idea of delineation. That's the thing. Because
really,
delineationists are not out there attacking Pan-Africanists. Pan-Africanists are the ones who are on the attack of delineation because they want us to all be this one blanket universal lineage group of people. So in practice, that's how it is.
really.
Can I
I guess
comment
I'll
about
be.
that?
Hold on, just
I,
hold on.
I just want to say that, okay, if that's true, then I'll be the first to say that I respect both and I would uphold both because I do believe this is a going theory that I have in general that when it comes to a YT society, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any native BLK population, they will stigmatize that group the most. You get what I'm saying? So if you go to France, even though there's no BLK people who are like indigenous to France or native, but like most of the BLK people they know over there are immigrants, mainly African and some Caribbean. They stigmatize those people so much, they treat them so bad. But BLK people from the West, mainly I would say America, have a long history of being. I'm not saying that they're not problematic. Don't get me wrong, but there's some positive vibes over there that a lot of FBA people like throughout history have noted in like France and some other like several other European countries. But
Okay.
and likewise in America, I do believe that, and it's not because they like BLK people, right? They still see us all as, you know, negative in some type of way. It's the fact that they are trying to pit us against each other in some type of way to keep down the native BLK population. So in America or even in Brazil, these kind of racially stratified areas, they keep their BLK people down, but the BLK people who either are tourists or immigrants, they try to treat them like a model minority and try to act like, oh yeah, they try to highlight, all of a sudden they're trying to highlight like Nigerians are the most educated, Nigerians have the highest median income compared to all
Now,
Americans, blah,
let
blah,
me,
blah. They're trying to,
because I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from, and I'm not sure if, because I remember talking to you before. I'm not sure if you're nervous or anything like that, but you kind of bounced around a little bit. Constructive criticism. You kind of bounced around a little bit, but I got what you were saying. But the thing is, and the issue, right, is that if they're promoting immigrants, the only way that works is if the immigrants are going for it. So that's the thing.
not
We
necessarily.
can't strip no, we can't strip them from accountability, because the only way the model minority thing works is if the immigrants are on board with that. Okay, if the immigrants are not on board with the whole being propped up and being used as a buffer class, and the model minority is not going to work. So when you talking about, oh, they try to put us against each other, that's because immigrants are coming over here and they're getting on board with that. The whole
That's not
Nigerians,
necessarily true.
no, hold on. The whole Nigerians are the most educated and all that stuff. It's not a whole bunch of YT folks saying that. They might have spread that around, but the Nigerians are eating that up. They're going for that. You can say the same thing about all immigrants when it comes to the Hispanic immigrants, when it comes to the Asian immigrants. The only way immigrants can be weaponized is if the immigrants are on board. They're not going to just bring people on there and then say, okay, we're going to weaponize them and they not know.
But what if they're
The
just trying
only
to survive?
hold on, sir. Hold on. The only way that they can be used effectively against what you're saying, the native population, is if they're all on board with that. That's the
I
same
don't.
way when the hold
I
on.
don't
It's
necessarily agree.
hold on. This is about history, because when you go back to 1862, when they had the Homestead Act and they were bringing in a whole bunch of European immigrants and all that stuff, in order for them to be welcomed into the dominant society, they had to practice practices of anti-black racism. Okay, so you saw a lot of vitriol and hatred and disdain coming from a bunch of European immigrants to be welcomed into whiteness. Okay, so they can be a part of that. You saw that from the Hispanic communities. The Hispanic community had organizations like LULAC that fought to be white, and that fought not to unify with the civil rights movement and with the quote unquote Negro, saying that was the Negro problem, is because bored to be able to call it completely on is not to say that they're putting immigrants against the natives. They are, but that is only because the immigrants are going along with it. They're on board. Nobody is stupid. And if we sit up there and try to save face for them and give them too much grace and make it seem like they not know what they're doing, we're never going to solve the problem. The problem is a lot of them, they're on board with that. You can see it in the way they act in politics. Okay. You can see it in the way Brian Donalds was trying to block reparations, saying that he's not going to get it. You can see it in the way Candace Owens doesn't want to talk about Caribbean immigrants, but she can demonize foundational Black Americans. You can see it in the way Myron Gaines talks about Black Americans, but he doesn't talk about Sudan. Okay, he doesn't talk about Africans at all. You can see it in their
Myron,
practices. They're all on
self-hating.
board with that.
we okay. Some of these examples are really out there, like Myron and Candace. Those are some
No, they
QUUN.
commonplace. You right.
No,
Those are some
No, they
QUUNs.
are
Nobody liked
commonplace
them.
in those communities.
no.
You
They're
don't have
not
to, but how many
commonplace.
immigrants are pushing back against them? Wait a minute. Where are the Sudanese
A
immigrants
lot.
here in America to push
Most
back
of us.
on Myron
Most of
Gaines?
us. Most of us
where,
hate
dude?
both of
Like,
them.
where? Why?
They are
No.
both.
Then
They
where's
are
the
both
pushback?
yachts. What's that game called? Yahtzee. Yeah, they're both that.
No.
They're,
Here's the
yes,
thing.
they
We're
are.
not going to stop. We're not going to sit up here and individualize Myron Gaines or Candace Owens or Brian Donald
But they're
or
exceptional
Wes Moore.
examples. Come on.
I can go on. I can go down the list. All
West Moore is
stop.
I can meet
FBA.
you
West
halfway.
Moore is
Wes
half
Can
Moore
I
is
talk?
FBA.
Stop
no Wes
lying. Don't
Moore.
start lying.
Everybody's not gonna talk. Come on, we're not gonna. I can go down the list. And what Daddy Diesel was talking about is that their community does not condemn that behavior. That behavior comes from their community. Okay, we're not gonna sit up there and individualize them. Okay, because their community doesn't call that stuff out.
Ca-
They
ca-
don't.
Can I meet
Nah.
you halfway and bring a different
Hold
perspective?
on. We're gonna hold on. Noah, do you understand that? Okay. Their
I
community doesn't,
I
because and the reason why is because those thoughts and ideas exist and those sentiments exist in those communities. Okay, that's why you had Kai Cenat saying that Black Americans don't have a culture. Okay, and we're quote unquote just
he
black.
just
It's
yeah,
not,
boy.
no, because it wasn't just Kai Cenat. That is because that's things that are said in the household. That's things that they say among each other. Burna
But
Boy
y'all need
saying
to
this.
call
Hold
out
on.
Caribbeans a
That
bit
no,
more. Y'all need
stop,
to
stop, because
call
that's
out
the
Caribbeans.
defensiveness that y'all get, which is why we can't unite. Okay, because they're Busta Rhymes, Burna Boy. We have a whole bunch of them who are saying that because those sentiments exist in those communities. They're not individual sentiments. Those are ideas and beliefs that exist, and they talk about it behind closed doors. And then a few of them say it out in the open. And then y'all want to make it seem like, oh no, those are just individuals. No, those are not just individuals. That's because those are whole conversations and only one or two people are saying it on a microphone. Okay, Akon saying that we need to get over slavery. You think he's the only person who think like that? You think he's the only? What is he from? Uh, Ghana or Kenya or something? You think he's the only one who feels that way?
He's from Senegal. He's from
Senegal.
Senegal.
Thank
Well,
you.
his
Senegal.
family is
Thank you.
from
Thank you.
Senegal, but
Thank
he
you.
was born here in America. He was born in
Yeah.
America and back to Senegal. Yeah,
Okay.
but
I'm thinking of some.
he's that's a
He's not
danger.
the only
Like
one
he
who
could be
thinks that
you because
way.
of Black American.
Come on, we're not gonna do that. And this is why we can't move forward, because we're not gonna move forward with dishonesty.
But what
And when
about?
you
But
guys
when
are
you're not
being
looking at the other
dishonest,
side, though, you're not
hold on,
looking the
dude,
other side.
hold on. When you guys are being dishonest, that we're gonna hit the brakes every time.
Are you gonna let us talk?
If
Dude,
you
it's not
interrupt
the
again, you're not
time.
gonna talk at all. But
Oh,
who
Damn.
do you
well,
have?
you're not letting me
Where are you
talk.
from?
Might as well you throw me out or
Where are you
something.
from? Where's you from? Hold on. Y'all see how triggered he got? Where are you from?
I'm from Somalia.
Somalia. Okay. How long you been living in the States?
25 years.
All right. What do you have to say? What you
So,
want to speak so bad? What do you have to
so
say?
I want to meet you halfway, and I actually want to acknowledge these sentiments do exist in some of these communities, these immigrant communities. That's true. So, but that's only 50% of the story. The other side of it is who is manipulating who? Is basically white supremacists are manipulating all communities, including yourself, because you're also recycling. You're basically just you're picking and choosing who to highlight. You're saying these sentiments are accepted throughout the communities, and they're not. If you just take a microphone and talk to all Somalis, for example, they despise white supremacists. They're the ones that are the biggest bullseye victims. Now, all Trump administration policies are that are, and they're not just Somalis. Look at the Haitians. Look at
That's crazy.
all these other
You
people. They're
talking about them
calling us.
scamming ass tamales in Minnesota?
Hold up. They're calling us shitholes. At the same time, some FBAs are actually joining forces with these exact same people, and they're telling us to go back to your country. And
No,
I've been
okay, hold on,
No,
so you're
okay.
only talking about
You
one
weren't
part of
saying
the side.
nothing when it wasn't happening to you. That's the thing. When it was not happening to you, you didn't give a damn, and you were
Oh,
on the side of
Bro,
white
I'm
okay.
supremacists. So
Okay.
thank you.
So
Hold
that
on, let me just say this. Let
when
me
a
just say
white
this.
woman
When it
called
comes
a
to
Somalian
hold on,
child
let
the
me say
N
this.
word,
Hold on. Let me say
Speak
this.
on that.
When it comes to I'm not black. When it comes to groups of people who denounce being black the most, it's Somalis and Dominicans.
Well, that's
Y'all are
factually incorrect.
hold on
That's
now.
factually
Y'all are
incorrect.
known,
Who
and we've
was
known that for generations, that Somalians and Dominicans, particularly those two, the top two, okay, y'all
Somalis were leading the
particular
charge in
stop,
George
and I'm not
Floyd's
saying,
protest?
hold on. This is not to say about
Movement
everybody,
is not
but
leading
let's
the
be
charge.
known. Y'all have a reputation. This is something that is
For
well
fighting
known
back
within.
against police
No,
brutality. That's what we have
no.
Stay
Hold
on the
on. No,
mute
no.
button.
Stop. Acknowledge what I just said,
You
because
never
this is
fought
something.
back against police
You're
brutality
lying,
in
basically.
Everybody
America.
can't
You're
talk at the
basically
same
making stuff
time.
up.
Everybody can't talk at the same time. Don't make me start dropping folk, because this is something y'all known for. Now, because you guys are being targeted by the administration, now y'all want to be all like, well, no, y'all turned
Black
against
Lives
us.
Matter. We
No.
were leading that.
Y'all leading? What did y'all lead?
Okay.
You
You haven't
full of shit,
seen
bro.
people.
Why are you lying?
Y'all led
We
Black Lives
literally
Matter when y'all don't want to be
This
black?
guy is a liar.
Y'all
Lying
swear up and
ass
down y'all know
personally,
black. I know
I
black,
am
I'm
on
Somali. I know
newspapers.
black, I'm
Personally,
Somali, but y'all let Black Lives Matter.
okay. Personally, I'm on
This guy is a
newspapers.
troll.
So this, I could literally provide fact. I could provide citation right now. I
Yeah,
could show
please
you my
do.
picture on the newspaper. Me
Who are
marching.
your representative?
Okay, there was literally
She didn't say
Somali girls
shit. She
throwing
didn't
back.
say nothing.
No, you haven't seen protests in Minneapolis. You literally haven't seen them. If you weren't paying attention, then don't just. You have no right to talk because you just
Oh, I
didn't.
went to Minneapolis
Okay, I
when
need you
George
to
Floyd
stop.
when
Hey,
George
hey,
Floyd was
Deidre,
unalive. What are you
Deidre,
talking
wait
about?
a minute. So I always ask people who bring up George Floyd, right? Immigrants, tell me 5 times before George Floyd you stood with us. Tell us 5 times afterwards. Stop appropriating that man and let
I
him go.
was
Because
protesting
I
as far back
personally
as
heard,
Trayvon Martin.
hold on. Y'all was out there looting. So George Floyd has become
We
a
literally
talking
hope.
point. Don't come off your mic again. You being disrespectful. George Floyd has become a talking point of the immigrants, but y'all dropped the ball, right?
No,
And if you
going
go to
back to
Q,
'60s.
You know what? We're gonna, since you don't know how to behave
yeah, he
yourself, you're just
doesn't.
gonna leave.
Oh, now it's the 60s.
Okay.
Raymond Martin was in the 60s.
He said, hold on, brother. Hold on. No. Dr. King, he got the civil rights movement from me. He got the civil rights movement from the Somali King.
He is a alien
These
head
people be
looking ass
lying.
motherfucker.
He
Alien
said, we
head
got it
looking
all
ass
from them.
bastard. Big watermelon head ass bastard. Alien, UFO looking mother. When they thought of UFOs, they looked at their country and said, "Oh, we can use these bastards and just paint them green." We see. Yeah, I knew
Well, we not,
UFOs
yeah.
depicted them when they
We not
depicted
going,
some
hold on.
humanoid.
Before, because I want to move on, and I want to get to our other brothers. But I remember specifically there was a closed meeting when they were talking about Ilhan Omar getting that position in Congress over a black American. They said they wanted more Somalians to get that position and replace us, to block and gatekeep us out of Congress. So we're not going to sit up there and be all like Somalians have been our closest allies. We're not going to do that. Does Ilhan Omar
Hijabi
represent
black
what? Hold
women,
on.
come
No,
on.
don't do that. Does Ilhan Omar represent 100% of Somalians? No, she doesn't. But it does indicate and further prove our point in saying that that is a sentiment that exists strongly with that community. And it's not been called out. So we're not going to sit up here and lie.
But can I interject like
Hold
really
on. No, we're going
quickly?
to move on. No, we're not. No, you can't. Okay. We're going to get to our brother EJ before TikTok mess him up again.
Yeah, man, because Lord help me. A lot of these people are really delusional when it comes to them practicing Pan-Africanism. Let's just keep it real. A lot of these Pan-Africanists in America are falsifying us, trying to unify with everybody. And Pan-Africanism, that's why I don't respect a lot of them, because they don't want to repatriate to Africa to teach so-called Pan-Africanism. You can look at dudes like Umar Johnson, who's always been in his mother's, basement yelling and trying to get foundational black Americans to donate to his school, let alone give him a good amount of money so he can buy groceries for his family because he having baby mama problems with his daughter and stuff. So delineation is good for foundational Black Americans, and let's just keep it real. Africans are the kings and queens of delineation. They separated themselves a long time ago with their tribal situations and beef. The Caribbean is delineated from themselves and other groups of people within their territory. So I don't know why it's so bad when Black Americans finally want to do something for themselves. We have did everything for the whole entire world. It is the year 2026. If you want to talk about your countries and the continent of Mother Africa, so you say, then it's time for the whole entire world to hold their own NUT. As Europeans, they don't agree with everything. They have their own separate countries and their own separate history. Asians have a distinct history of separating themselves from other groups of people. Not all Asians are Chinese people. Not all Japanese represent the whole Asian race. They have their own distinction and own different examples about their own people. And I don't see why it's so hard for these other groups of people, especially these people on the continent, to understand that foundational Black Americans have paved the way for you, your family, throughout the whole entire generations for us to do our own thing. And this is just such a disingenuous point to keep letting these tellers talk and we keep trying to explain stuff to them. It's just like trying to get some of these folks to tie their shoes. You could teach them over and over again numerous times, and it's just such a shame that a lot of these people don't want to go back home and help themselves, and they try to just say, oh, we need to work together, brothers and sisters. Y'all, a large majority of y'all didn't want to work with us, and it's time for y'all to hold y'all own nuts, man. And it gets so my head hurts after hearing that, dude, man. These folks don't agree with all that stuff. They try to get in where they fit in. But with that being
Hold on, I
said,
can understand the sentiment, brother, but hold on. The reason
Wait,
why I
wait,
am
no,
No,
pan
no,
man,
stop cutting
brother,
people
brother.
off
I
so we
want
can
to
get
keep
through
you up
this.
here. I want to
Um,
keep you up here because I want to have a balanced panel. But you got to stop coming off your mic, man. We have people who haven't spoken yet at all, and you keep coming off your mic, bro. You got to stop.
yeah, man, just give me a couple of seconds because these panels get real chaotic when people don't, get their turn. I don't know what's wrong with some folks, man. The moral of the story is, man, foundational Black Americans are holding their own nuts. We holding our guard. We've been holding our guard down for too damn long, and it's time for everybody in the whole entire world to do their own thing. You can get loud and get mad. I want to challenge you to have that energy in your homeland, cause y'all got too many problems over there that don't got nothing to do with foundational Black Americans. Y'all done had ample time to get y'all stuff together. So we're closing ranks, and we want to handle our own business. And I challenge y'all to finally do something for yourselves as the majority in y'all homeland. Because, we only a small percentage of the population over here in America. And these people always look for us to do everything, knowing damn well their numbers are way bigger than us. So the moral of the story is everybody do y'all own thing and don't come to us with y'all hat in y'all hand, because y'all had a lot of ample time to do what y'all needed to do and get y'all resources up, because America has given y'all everything. We still fighting for our reparations. So I don't want to keep hearing these damn immigrants coming here talking about we need to do this and do that. Practice Pan-Africanism and practice unity in your homeland instead of these tribal, conflicts and situations, because we have the evidence to expose y'all. But with that being said, I'll land my plane before I get cut off again.
No, right then. Let's get to my brother Basic.
Hey, what's going on, Afro? Hey, give somebody else. You can go to somebody else real quick and just come back to me
Okay,
real
okay,
quick.
cool. We'll get to Q.
okay.
We'll get to Q Butter.
Hey, what's good, Black family?
How you doing?
Peace.
Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. So I come in peace, pause, man. I am a Pan African. You know what I mean? So,
All right.
but I don't think for me, I don't have an issue with delineation. I think, in terms of understanding the population, who's doing what, how they're doing what they're contributing to, you should know where people are from. That's just basics. I mean, I don't see, I think the word has been used in the conversation and kind of weaponized. I think that's what Pan Africans get triggered by it. But when I talk to Pan Africans, like, you just listen to what they're saying. It's like, we should know how many Jamaicans there are in the county. And like, what are you doing for Jamaica? What are you doing for the people in Black America? Like, I think that works perfectly aligned with Pan Africanism. So it's really not that difficult.
And the thing is that y'all. I don't have an issue with Pan Africanist believing what they want to believe it. We don't have to all believe the same thing. My issue is that we have some, and not all, because you're a Pan-Africanist and you don't seem like you have an issue with it. And there was another Pan-Africanist brother we were speaking to the other day, but we have some Pan-Africanists who are literally speaking against what we got going on. It's not even about oh, you know what, I don't necessarily agree or whatever the case is, or I don't like the approach necessarily. We got some quote unquote Pan-Africanists. They'll make panels, podcasts, YouTube videos all day long talking about how we a CIA operation, Donald Trump supporting MAGA group and all that stuff. So that's my issue when it comes to that, because that energy we don't see being distributed to any other group of people. So what I'm saying is, when other groups of people, for instance, if we want to talk about Candace Owens, Myron Gaines, Brian Donalds, if we want to talk about that, if we want to talk about Wes Moore, okay, if we want to talk about stuff like that, Obama, Kamala, if we want to talk about stuff like that, the Pan-Africanists don't want us to generalize or demonize or even make any type of consensus on a group of people. There's no accountability for those outside groups of people. But yet when it comes to us, we can be drugged through the mud, demonized, generalized, all of that. And this is the imbalance in the hypocrisy that we see from a lot of Pan-Africanists, which is why a lot of people have a cold shoulder to that. But you're cool. You're cool. If you can believe what you want to believe. If as long as you don't have issue with delineation, which, to be honest, everybody should be on that. Pan-Africanists included. Pan-Africanists should be on delineation. Okay? Because by definition, a delineation doesn't mean going against another group of people. So Pan-Africanists, y'all should be on that too. So as long as we can agree on that, we cool. We cool.
Yeah, I think the FBA conversation has layers to it.
Okay.
And depending on which person you're talking, like I was just on another panel and somebody was saying they're Hebrew Israelite, Native American FBA. And it's like, all right, y'all need, come on, y'all. Like, y'all are like sour in the conversation in terms of like organizing who, like, the actual scholastic conversation needs to be had. And when it's conflated with multiple layers of just philosophical, ideological nonsense, I think that's an area where many Pan-Africans respond to.
Well, the Hebrews, that's a religious belief. That's a really belief based off of faith. So you have Hebrews who are FBA, Hebrew Israelites who are FBA, and then you have Hebrew Israelites who are non-FBA.
Mm-hmm.
So Hebrew Israelites not necessarily about a lineage of America, because you have Hebrew Israelites who are not FBA, right? And a lot of Hebrew Israelites, they do believe that Hebrew Israelites are not specifically just about FBA. There are a lot of FBAs who do have indigenous ties and indigenous ancestry. Okay. Some would argue, I would argue, that most of us do.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fact.
So yeah.
Not
Can I
to
look at the chat? I think what he's talking about is those real extremists that dislike Africa, so therefore we are African because we call ourselves black. A lot of people who are identifying as FBA, there's cosplayers, right? They're not really FBA or don't understand why we are going under the banner of FBA. So they're riding a trend because they see how many times we go viral from time to time. And so when we say, well, the original meaning is a revamp from Dr. Claude Anderson, who's that? When I say Tariq Nasheed, who's that? Tariq ain't, but these are the people that popularized the term so that we could have the distinction within our ethnic group. And I just want to say shout out to Q Butter, because he is the Pan-African from New York who actually turned his home into a school for black children.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
we
Shout
leveled
out
up.
to that. All right. I respect that.
We leveled up. We got location in North Carolina. We got a big location.
Okay. I respect that. I respect that. I do. Let's get to basic.
If I may,
Hold
if
on.
I may say real quick,
Brother, hold on. Basic said he's back, so we can get to him real quick.
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
We good. How you doing?
He's basic.
All right. So basically, Pan Africans are, for the most part, against delineation. And the reason is they don't believe in Black Americans prioritizing Black Americans over every other group of people because their belief is to prioritize Africans and Africa. That's where we're going to always bump heads. And that's why I believe that Pan Africans should go their way and we go our way. I don't even think we should honestly work with Pan Africans because I believe that everything that they do is like they allow Africans to have like this hierarchy where they're higher than us and they deem themselves as being, pure and, they consider us to be like this diluted African. It's a whole lot of anti-blackness within Pan-Africanism that they refuse to address and they want us to go along with it, which is why you can see a lot of Africans who get on these apps and they crash out in the most extreme ways, and you will never hear Pan-Africans address it. Like you had the dude who got arrested who came over here from Kenya and he wanted to pull off like a 9/11 type thing in Atlanta. So, why would you come over here and try to do that in a Black American city like Atlanta? And then you had the lady who so dumb she got on here talking about she want to strap a BOMB to herself and like stuff like that. That used to be like a YT thing. Now you got Africans coming over here crashing out, thinking they Rambo and all types of shit. And the Pan Africans they just sit by and they don't say nothing. So I just don't respect it. I don't respect Pan Africanism at all because y'all do not check nobody but Black Americans. That's why y'all always in FBA spaces. Y'all focus on how we react to the things that we're talking about. These people been disrespecting Black Americans for a long time. It's not something that just started. And y'all know that. But that's why y'all come here and y'all try to minimize it and say, oh, well, it's not all of them. That's cool. It doesn't stop them from generalizing us and calling us thugs and stuff. Because there's a very small amount of us who are thugs. But Africans run around saying all types of stuff and stereotypes that they got from YT people. But they want to come over here and tell us that we push YT supremacy, when every talking point that they have against us is from YT people. They call us bullet bags. They'll turn around and talk about, oh, that's why the police ain't unaliving y'all fast enough. I seen one of them post that
Stop
on X.
lying, bro. That's FBA women saying that.
Do me a favor.
Hold on.
Stop.
Hold on. Now, here's the thing. Do you see right there? The lack of accountability is exactly what he's talking about. Because we have receipts. They will sit up there and they will proudly say that. They got flags in their bios. They've told us where they're from. We have receipts dating back. At least I got receipts from 2015 of stuff like that. In 2015, and I know that because I was just recently going through my computer and finding it. And I know I got receipts probably from even before then. Okay, screenshots and other video clips and other pieces of hold on, stop, Noah, no, don't do that. I got stuff, and that's before there was before the term FBA was coined. FBA was not coined in 2015. Neither was ADOS. Nobody was talking about delineation. That was not a trending topic in 2015. But you had a whole bunch of tethers talking about bullet bags and we don't have a culture and we're degenerate and all of that stuff. So that's been that with Nigerian flags and other African flags and stuff like that in their bios, in their profiles and all of that stuff. We've been had receipts on that type of stuff. We've been had that way before FBA, ADOS, anything like that. Way before we collectively said anything about delineation, that's what they were on. So we're not going to lie about history to sanitize it for you all. Now let's let him continue.
And that's exactly the point. As soon as we bring up factual things and things that we can actually prove, like you said, we got the receipts. This stuff been going on for a long time. We can prove it. We got literature. You had Nigerian authors who were accusing Black Americans of cultural appropriation during when that movie came out, Black Panther. Because you know how we was when the movie came out. You had Black Americans dressing up in African wear and all types of stuff showing out at the theaters. And the Africans, here they come with they hating ass. They hating on us for having a good time at the movie theaters and accuse us of cultural appropriation. They did the same with Beyonce when she was trying to do something nice and highlight African culture. She did this long ass music videos, like an hour long or something, bigging up their cultures, and all these Africans hating on her, telling her she ain't black, all types of stuff. That's your people. I don't understand why when we call this stuff out, y'all sit here and you just lie about it. That's why I just don't respect these people. I think Africans, y'all definitely up there with YT people when it comes to like the most lyingest people I've ever seen. Like y'all
Bro,
will
you
just
can't let them
lie.
say these
This
things,
second,
Okay, you
man.
want to
ma'am,
stick to
when you
yourself, but let me talk to 1 minute, basic. There's two
okay.
waiting in the queue, and Noah's just up here to center herself at this point in time. We've been through this with Noah before, Afro.
I'm gonna let Noah. Based off of
Can I say
everything, hold
something?
on,
Well,
listen, hold
go.
on, Noah. I'm gonna say this, and then it's based off of everything that you've heard from everybody here. What do you think that the African community needs to do to improve?
Okay, I I
I want,
agree.
and this is a test. This is a test to see how
Okay,
well you've been paying attention. What do you think
I
Africans and specifically Africans need to be doing in order to improve in America?
we need to be having more dialogue with everyone. We need to change the negative things that we've been doing for sure.
Okay, well, what
There
like?
needs to
Okay,
there
that's
needs to be
vague. That's vague.
accountability.
No, hold on, that's vague.
Okay,
Like what?
can I specify?
Okay.
So I understand the conversation around culture, the erroneous belief that just because someone is American, they don't have a culture, when Black Americans have cultivated a very unique and beautiful culture. That is definitely something, that's a foundational thing that needs to be changed, and everyone needs to get on the same page about that. Yeah.
Okay, so you
The
agree that you need to go check other Africans need to start checking other Africans, right?
Yes, and I will say that it's being done. You might not
Okay,
be in
well,
the room, but it
that's
is being
okay.
done.
It's being done, so I'm gonna let you go ahead and go do that. You go ahead and you go to your community and you go check them. How about that? And
Can I just say something before
you
somebody
go
else
ahead and
speaks?
do that.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you kicked her ass off because, Lord, I felt your pain, Sister Easy over there because you needed to spray the room because that fucking that was coming from that lady's mouth. You see why we can't unify with a majority of these people. And she was right about one thing. They need to go over there, form like Voltron, and clean up their mess.
Hmm.
Don't ask Europeans for help. Don't ask Asians for help. It definitely don't ask foundational Black Americans for help because it's been a long time coming, and y'all done had ample time to get y'all stuff together. And
Hmm.
I will say, shout out to Q Butter because it seems like he's a Pan Africanist that truly get it. He believes in his ideology, and I can respect that. But some of these Pan Africanists want to talk Pan Africanism, but still hate delineation.
Yeah.
Everybody knows this. You said something, brother Afro.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. Notice how what she said, even though it was vague, but what she said wasn't off. She wasn't completely, totally wrong and incorrect. So what we're saying, they know it makes sense. What we're saying, they know it's true. They know they do it. We're not out here telling anybody about anything that they don't already know. But the thing is that as Basic was talking, it started triggering her. It started pressing her buttons. That's why she kept coming off her mic. Like, you can't let him say that. You can't let him say that. Why? You know what he's saying is true. When he say you got the receipts, you're not even saying he don't got the receipts. You know what he's saying is true. But the thing is that it's triggering for you. You know what the solution is. You know what makes sense, but it's triggering for you. And the thing is that the fact that honesty and the solution is too bothersome for you all is the reason why y'all don't get nothing done. If you guys are being too triggered by the truth, too triggered by honesty, all right, y'all not gonna get anything done because you know for a fact we're not saying anything wrong. I'm gonna let Basic finish his statement, and then we got a couple more people. We gotta move on.
I'll land there for now. You can go ahead.
All right.
Oh, can I just say something for a couple of seconds? Then I'll let the other
Yeah,
people
yeah.
go. Man, I've been knowing this brother Afro for years, and I can feel the pain of the classic Twitter spaces he used to make, trying to, unify with people, trying to tell people the basic necessities that they needed to do in their homelands. I remember when Nigeria couldn't even get on Twitter. Nigerians couldn't even get on Twitter at a certain period of time because they banned Twitter. I think it was like in the early 2020s. Then they start flooding the damn timeline. They was real buck back in the day, probably like 2022, 2023. Afro was going back and forth with these people, having good constructive conversations, and a large majority of these folks don't want to listen. They're very hard headed. And the majority of the stuff that Brother Basic was saying was definitely true. And these people are very triggered of how we handle our business. They so triggered because they got to do stuff on their own. They don't want to do anything without us, being the big brother. They've been riding our backs for the longest. And that's why she got so triggered, because she know deep down in her heart, they have the numbers over there in Africa, but a large majority of them just don't want to do nothing. They expect us to do everything for them. And that's why these certain Pan-Africanists, they don't like the delineation movement, because they know that their scam is up. They know that they ain't gonna be getting that money to build these fake schools. They know they ain't gonna be able to get that income when they be getting caught up in stuff like this. And that's why they be going so hard on us not delineating. They want us to be all one big Negro. You see how they just come up here and just lie on our family, but you don't see these other groups of melanated people getting the same smoke that these Africans give us time after time after time. This has been going on for decades. And you would imagine if they was doing this stuff to these Brazilians down there in South America, because the majority of the slaves went down there, but they coming to us as the small amount. But with that being said, I'll land my plane.
All right. Q, but I appreciate you. I'll let you come back up here, but we got to cycle you out because I got to bring up this person. I think you said something, and I'm interested in what you have to say because you've been waiting. So right now we're going to get to Ronnie.
Hey, what's up with it, man? Appreciate you for letting me up. I just like to say I agree with that. What the brother said. I think Basic when he said about the Pan-Africanism, never checking anybody. I'm gonna be so honest. I can't remember ever hearing someone who said they're a Pan-Africanist check any tether speaking down on us. Even like in this live, I haven't heard a Pan-Africanist speak against what I heard these tethers say.
I do.
Can you be quiet real quick? You guys know a little bit more than me. I don't know everything, but where were the Somalians at during the civil rights movement? Were they even in this country? You feel me? And the broad that was underneath me, Noah, she was doing exactly what Afro was saying. The no accountability thing, she blamed it on the white man brainwashing them as the reason why they act the way they do towards us, right? And she also stated that the white man's brainwashing everybody, but how come as foundational Black Americans, all the brainwashing and the images that the white man bestowed upon us about you guys, we constantly negated that. Even when I was a little kid, we would check people in elementary school for talking bad about Africans and shit. We used to donate to those commercials we used to see about you guys. We raised up Africa. So what the hell are you talking about? It's called no accountability, and you weren't taking it. You guys constantly lie all the time. You can't unify with anybody that does that. You guys don't even keep it real with yourself. And also too, she's talking about when Afro Elite was speaking about in 2015, he can go back that far about the things that they were doing, just like on Clubhouse and the slave auction. She's talking about in the comments, we can go receipt for receipt. I'll give you $100 myself on this app. I'll send you $100 if you can go to 2015 and bring up some receipt of yours that shows my community talking about your people. I'll give you $100 myself. And I'll land with that. Thank you for letting me up.
Yep. You can't. She can't do that. She ain't gonna take that. But that's a good bet. Let's get to my brother Omega. Omega, you got it.
Peace, fam. B1.
Like first to you.
B1 Omega.
Word.
Before I start, man, I'm gonna be 100%. I know it's brothers and sisters out there that's still waving the banner for Pan-Africanism that are actually sincere in what they say. The brother Q Butter just proved that. That being said, this is for everybody that isn't sincere. Like the prompt itself is an illustration of a battle between what is vague and what's specific. You know, what's undefined or defined, or chaotic in order. A lot of people scream division in terms of our fight to replace the system of racism with a system of justice. They always kind of skate by the fact that flooding the zone is a way to weaken people as well. And that's kind of what Pan-Africanism is in too many cases. I believe like the plot got lost somewhere along the line, but in too many cases, flooding the zone has been used to weaken us. And you can't really like win a battle if you don't know who your enemies are. And when you got people that's constantly pedestalizing a continent and disregarding accountability for the purpose of, you know, being unified, you're not gonna go nowhere. It don't help you. It does not, you know what I'm saying? Like, numbers are cool, having a lot of people or whatever, that's cool. But what are those numbers being used for? If you're not using that shit to, excuse my language, but if you're not using it to empower yourself, then like, what are we doing? We just spinning wheels. So like, in other words, we use delineation as a way to not only celebrate our heritage, our culture, and everything else, but we also use it as a way to hold the opposition accountable, because we have to be able to punish people. That's the essence of power, being able to reward and punish. And when you don't have that, you get you get what Africa is today. Just keeping it real with you. So that's my 2 cents, man. I appreciate you. Be one.
Right first to you. Now, BX, I know you said Remy might be a troll. So Remy, where are you from?
No, 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 ma'am. I'm not a troll. I'm from Rwanda. RWAND.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna have a respectful conversation. All right.
I'm not a troll. Like I said, I don't know where she
All right.
got that
Okay.
from.
Okay. All right. Well, I've not ran into you before, so you
Yeah.
know. So we're gonna have a good conversation today. So I'm gonna get to you. We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you eggs less omelet formally. Okay. It's a long name.
I used to be TikTok is a white supremacist app. That's why I changed it. But I just wanted to comment on the young lady Noah that you dropped, because I specifically asked her in the comments, so we all lying but you, and she said yes. So everybody is lying but her. And it's hilarious that lack of accountability, and the fact that the cognitive dissonance of everything that they say, as far as the negative stuff that they say, that's echoing white supremacist talking points. They don't see it. But then when we fight back, or when we retaliate, then it's us that's we CIA and we FBI and we all this, and we all FBA is all agents, and it's just crazy to me. And I'm like, I just saw a news story about how somebody from Israel bought up a huge plot of land in Ghana, and he's going to build on it, houses, hotels, everything, like building for tourists to come in. You know, it's not going to be too many black tourists coming in there. You know, the people in Ghana is not going to be there. Who are they building that for? So they so busy in black Americans business, they not worried about what's going on in their own homeland. They busy losing their own homeland to the very same people that they fighting with against us. So I'm tripping out, and then she homegirl in the comments crashing out, and I'm just like, y'all too busy worried about black Americans and what we're doing in our homeland. This is our homeland. Like, y'all so worried about what we doing here, y'all not even concerned about y'all homeland being consistently and constantly occupied. It's crazy to me. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, they got their priorities messed up. Let's get to my brother Black Vanguard.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm gonna add the prompt Pan-African versus delineation. So a lot of people don't understand that is that a lot of these Pan-Africanist organizations, they're not really sincere. A lot of these Pan-African organizations are connected to the Democratic Party, like Ann Cobras, the Narcs with Cam Howard. I think Cam New with Cam Howard. That's part of what do you call that shit? The urban. My bad. Sorry about that. That's part of damn. What's the name of the organization? Ann Cobra. I got it. There it goes.
Yeah, there's a few of them. It's Ann Cobra. There is a few of them.
Narc.
It's a couple of them. Narc is one, and
Ann
Cobra bring
Cobra.
on all them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are Democratic shield funded organizations. So these people that talk about Pan-Africanism before, these people don't talk about Pan-Africanism until we start delineating. Because we was the main ones say, "Oh, you all black." I said, "No, we ain't black." I said, "We're Haitian, we're Jamaican, we're Bohemian, we're Panamanian, we're Nigerian, Ghana, Ethiopia, Somalia." They were the main ones pushing that delineation stuff. We was poking at Pan-African stuff. We was the main one propping this Pan-African stuff at least for 100 years. Under the days of Marcus Garvey, we was promoting that. Now we focus on ourselves, which we should have been doing a long time ago. Because all of a sudden, these people don't want that Pan-Africanism is fake black. And I told people, maybe one Caribbean or African organization that's in your cities that do anything for Black America, Foundation for Black Americans in your city. They can't name me not one. When was the last time we seen these Caribbean or African organizations gave a back to school backpack giveaway for the Foundation for Black American Youth in the inner cities, though? When was the last time we see any of these Caribbean or African organizations here in America that gave a youth program to help our youth in our community? You never do see it. So this Pan-African, especially a one-way street, is not reciprocal. These people, all they do is extrapolate the resources from our community and benefit their community. None of that money don't go back towards the Foundation of Black American Communities, and our people start getting tired of it. That's why the Somalians, they just lost their temporary protected status, I believe, yesterday in Minnesota. Them Somalis, they trying to do a Selma protest. A lot of our people ain't coming out. And Haitians, they scared too. For you understand that is that the Department of Homeland Security put something out on Twitter saying that over 6% of the whole entire Haitian population is over here in America. Joe Biden dumped over 6% of the whole entire Haitian population over here in the U.S. 6% of the whole entire population. That's a whole lot. And they scared. They scared because they're about to lose their temporary protection status. Trump, the Supreme Court is hearing that right now. Will come to end of the Haitians ending their temporary protected status, and pretty soon the Trump administration and the Supreme Court will side with the Trump administration about ending their temporary protected status. And also, about a week ago, a few days ago, the Supreme Court granted Trump that they could send foreigners to third-party countries. So after that, the Haitians, they could be up out here very, very soon. But that, and also is this Pan-Africanism stuff, like the Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson still haven't created that school yet. I remember I was a little kid when Dr. Umar Johnson said he was building that school, that Franklin Douglas, Marcus Garvey Academy out there in Wilmington, Delaware. He still haven't done nothing with that museum. Where are all these so-called African Caribbean organizations helping Dr. Umar Johnson save the school? Where Dr. Umar Johnson was trying to get taxes done, take school. Maybe one African nation, maybe one Caribbean African organization say, "Okay, Dr. Umar Johnson, I know you're trying to build a Pan-African school. We agree with Global Black Unity. Let's fund your school. Let's actually pay your taxes off." They can do that though. So this so-called fake Global Black Unity, this shit number fake because they don't practice that. Look, they couldn't protect Dr. Umar Johnson school from shutting down. That's all I got to say.
Real talk, yeah. Real talk, yeah, that's true. I mean, he's flown over there and all that stuff too. He's going back and forth and all that. He can't make no deal with them. They ain't trying to send no resources over here. All right. Okay. Remy, how you doing? You said you're from where again?
Rwanda.
Rwanda. Okay.
Yep.
Well, what's on your mind?
Oh, as far as the prompt, for me, I don't see those two things in opposition, right? Because for me, Pan-Africanism, everybody has their own thoughts on it, but the idea was that everybody who considered themselves African descent, whether they're in the Caribbean, Africa, Europe, or the Americas, would agree that we share a common struggle and that trying to advance each other politically, economically was helpful. And a lot of that was never something that was practiced by people or populations per se. It was more practiced by notable leaders. And as far as delineation goes, I don't. One thing that I'm disappointed in my fellow Africans is this need to have that issue with how people identify. Like if somebody says I identify as such in 2026, that shouldn't be a problem. That's why the delineation thing, some of the arguments that happen bother me, right? We should not argue about how people want to identify. On the other hand, you have a lot of people who discuss under delineation to actually be completely xenophobic, right? And that's
Hold on. Okay.
yeah. I'll give you specific example.
After we finish.
Yeah,
Let's hear what he has to say first.
if you like to. But an example of that is like people trying to make it seem like immigrants, especially Black immigrants in particular, are a reason why there's certain issues in America, which most of them are actually perpetuated by the government of this country, right? Even when we talk about things like immigration, it would not be an issue without the policies that the government of this country has, not only internationally, but also at home, right? So a lot of the times I feel like there's a scapegoating of immigrants where instead of looking at what politicians are doing, the laws they're passing, the things they're doing, it's looked at as, oh, this is immigrants' fault. I've even heard people blame immigrants for not getting reparations, right? So those kind of things, to me, it's like on both sides, I see some things that are frustrating, and I understand that there's a lot of misunderstanding, because what I'm noticing is that a lot of people actually have these conversations online, and maybe it makes them feel like they shouldn't be respectful or even listen to each other. It becomes a thing where it's like a roast session or a back and forth with just insults.
Okay. Well, is acknowledging you all's part to play not also holding the government accountable? We can do both things at the same time, because what happens is that we can talk about what the government's doing to sabotage us, but we also have to bring to light everybody else's role in it, in acknowledging other people's complacency, and other people's role and other people's willingness to go along with it is not necessarily being xenophobic, but it's fully acknowledging and analyzing an issue. And the problem is that they don't have an issue with us acknowledging the government's fault. They don't have an issue with us acknowledging the politicians' fault. But then when we acknowledge the complacent immigrants who are going along with it, now it's an issue. Now it's a problem. We do have to be honest. You do have people like Brian Donalds who are in politics who literally say they vote no on reparations because they're an immigrant. He literally said that out of his own mouth. And if he's going to say that, you can already bet all of them do that. They're just not saying that. He was able to say that on broadcast television, or I guess YouTube, you can say radio. All right. You got Candace Owens and Coleman Hughes, who have immigrant backgrounds, and they're at a reparations task force speaking against reparations. Okay. All of the other immigrants, the tethers who were in the California, I guess, task force, and they allowed the bill to be to never reach the, I don't want to say the word, they allowed the bill to not come out. They sat on the bill. So we have to acknowledge the reality that a lot of the issues that we're having is because you all are acting, okay, collectively, not all, but collectively. We do notice that you guys are becoming an obstacle. Are you the reason for it? No, we understand who the big final villain is, but you guys are the henchmen. And if we don't acknowledge the henchmen, we're not going to get to the final boss.
Okay, so do you acknowledge the henchmen that are also part of the Black community, like people like Clarence?
We've
Okay,
always acknowledged that. We've
okay.
always
So I have a
acknowledged ourselves.
follow-up question about that.
Hold on. We've always acknowledged that. If that's the answer to your question.
Okay,
We've always called them out.
a follow-up
That's why
question.
Harriet Tubman used to carry a pew pew for them.
Okay.
So we've always been on that type of time.
Okay, so my follow-up question to that is, do you disagree that there's a lot more and that they don't represent the Black community as a whole? Would you say someone like William O'Neill or Clarence Thomas represents the Black community as a whole?
No, of course. No, they don't.
Okay. So you would understand why somebody like Byron Donalds does not represent the community's views. Somebody like Candace Owens does not represent the community's views.
Well, see,
But
here's the thing.
Candace
It's hard.
Owens
Hold up,
herself,
hold up.
historically,
We can do
has
that. We
all-
can do that all day. You
Can-
know,
can I
and
just
and it'll
finish,
go
ma'am?
back to I'm interrupting you. You be all right. We can do that all day with
Have a
the
good night.
politicians and because you're going to say, oh hell to the no. Let me make sure I unfollow your ass. But you're going to get to the point where it's like, oh well, look at the government that's allowing these politicians in. They don't represent us. It's just the white tea supremacists allowing these COONs into your position. So it's not our fault. That's bullshit. You have to hold your people accountable. I've been to these African braiding shops. That ain't got shit to do with these white supremacists. I've been to these African braiding shops. I've seen sisters get their ass whooped, sisters get their hair pulled out, all types of shit. I've been inside the beauty supply stores. Y'all follow us around the store. You're looking down the aisle. We can't buy shit without you on our line. What are we talking about? I've been to your restaurants. You rude as hell. Y'all putting all types of shit in the food. That ain't got shit to do with no white tea supremacists. That's you. That's your culture. You're bringing your anti-black ass, xenophobic ass over here and practicing the very anti-black racism. Well, not anti-black racism because you can't be racist, you're black. But xenophobia, you're trying to project onto us. So please, we can go in circles all day about, what white tea zaddy is doing. We understand we're under the system of white tea supremacy, but you need to talk about your people. Even when we get to your people, you find a way to deflect and talk about our damn people. We don't even talk about Black Americans. Shut your ass up. We've held Black Americans accountable for years. It's
Why
a
you
part
being
of our
disrespectful?
culture.
I
Sir,
haven't
I'm not going to tell
disrespected
you
you.
again. I don't give a fuck. I'm tired.
Disrespect this
I'm tired. I
lady.
don't feel like hearing it. I really don't. Listen, the point is, hold your people
Don't be
accountable. Every
disrespectful. It's
time we get, I'm
unnecessary.
done. I can't do it. I'm sorry. Not today. I'm tired. I'm tired. It's 12:45. I've been at work. I ain't got time. Listen, the point is, hold your people accountable, sir. Every time you get to a point where it's almost there, there's a turning point where you want to go to somewhere else. It's a white tea supremacist. Oh, but what about what the Black Americans do? Oh, but what about what the Caribbeans do? Oh, but what about what we're allowed to do? Talk about what you're doing. What you're practicing is anti-black. It's xenophobic. You guys do not fuck with us, but then as soon as we call that out, it's, y'all don't rock with each other. Oh, well, the white supremacists don't rock with none of us. Oh, well, I'm tired of the whataboutism, baby. Grow the fuck up. Hold yourself accountable. Hold your own nuts. Like, damn. It's egregious as hell. I'm tired. Okay. Afro
Hold on. There's a couple of people who haven't spoken yet.
All right.
We gotta be fair to them. All right, let's get to Ishmael.
Ishmael, what's up?
Ishmael, okay, got you.
Was good. So Pan-Africanism versus delineation. I feel like, me personally, I want to focus on, the scam culture of Pan-Africanism, because that's a very important aspect, and that's a big reason why they done got packed up, and we got to continue to box them out. So you have Boyce Watkins, selling his overpriced flashcards, right? You got Brother Polite, selling all these fake courses. If you go on his website, I don't know if his website's still up, but if you go on his website, the man got like 2000s mixtape, graphics on his website, acting like he finna help you in the journey to financial freedom. Then you got Jay Morrison, who done scammed the Black community out of millions of dollars, over $10 million, $12 million, right? And if it wasn't for the ADOS Foundation, right, he even admitted that if it wasn't for the ADOS Foundation, that would have been $30 million. He admitted it. Listen to the interview. So the thing is, you got your Dr. Umars, right? That's the ringleader. That's the ultimate Pan-Africanist, right? Obviously that school, that school ain't been built yet. He done scammed the black community out of a couple men or whatever. But my thing about Dr. Umar that got me upset is he bigging up Bad Bunny. He bigging up this Puerto Rican Bad Bunny. Oh, I never seen, a black artist, do what Bad Bunny done did. Like, okay, so not only is you pandering to these people, you bringing your own community down. Then you talking about, I never took a check from a white team man. I didn't sell out, but you took millions of dollars from your so-called people, right? And you didn't. And the funny thing is, you didn't take this money from these Africans that you trying to prop up. That's my thing. You didn't take money from them. Just like Jay Morrison, his Pan-African man, he ain't take money from Africans. They're getting money allocated to them from us.
Mm.
The same people that's trying to act like we extremists. I mean, the same people that's supposed to be so-called extremists, the same people that that's messed up for trying to delineate. These are the people that he's getting money from. He's not getting money from them African people because they don't got it like that, and they don't want to see us prosper. They don't want to see no black school. Like, this is what we have to realize, right? And it's just when this individual who had just came up, this African individual came up talking about, we acting like they stopping us from getting reparations. Here's the thing, right? Because I didn't know none of this. I didn't know these people was getting all this money and all these resources. I didn't know that. I just thought they come over here, and they work hard and this and that, until I realized these people, not only is they getting funding, not only they getting resources, they scamming all type of stuff. So this the thing right here, man. What we trying to explain to these individuals is that the money and the resource that's getting allocated to you, those could be reparations for us, the people who actually put their blood, sweat, and tears in. That's all we saying. When we seeing that y'all getting all these, millions of dollars given to y'all in resources and whatever. What we saying is that money could be going to our reparations. That's all we saying. So, I'm gonna just leave that there. And and the last thing, Dr. Umar, to me, he a sucker, cuz you over here, you got your Pan-African movement. Then you want to piggyback off of our movement with this DAFI stuff. Like, so you just had to squeeze, weasel your way in, right? Like, to me, that's a buster move, and that really, those two things infuriated me more than just a scamming. Him bigging up another race over his race, and him with this DAFI. So yeah, I'm gonna just land with that.
Yeah, that ain't cool, man. It's not cool. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's get to King Swole. King Swole.
Peace. Can you hear me, family?
I hear you.
Cool, man. Well, I'm reporting from NYC, and I have a lot to say, but I'm gonna try to make it quick. Let's do this, right? Let's switch it. Let's say if we all came from America, and then us sold all these Africa, we was over here chilling and having a good time, and then all of a sudden we noticed that our money dropped. And then the people in Africa said, hey, won't y'all come on over here with us? Come on through and chill, and we gonna make a little lane for y'all. Now we only 13% of the population, and but we don't got a lot, but compared to what y'all got, we got a whole lot. And then we went over there and we did what they doing over here. See, we can't even fathom or imagine that, because that's not in our spirit. And we would know, like, yo, you are wicked people. You have a black congressional caucus with it's a whole bunch of people that's not even from here, and y'all fighting for everything except reparations for us. If in the 60s we didn't decide to bring y'all over here and we said we want our reparations, then we would have it now. Things wouldn't be so janky now. We wouldn't want to stop fucking with y'all now because we everything would have been okay. But y'all done made it so bad. It's jealousy. You just jealous. And it's disgusting because it's like, damn, we are the only people that have helped y'all. And this is the thanks we get? And y'all sitting up here acting like it's all good. And then when we say, you know what? Enough is enough. We not caping for y'all like that no more. Y'all gotta get up out of here and y'all gotta fend for yourself. Oh, y'all xenophobic. Oh, y'all hate us. Oh, y'all ain't foundational. Y'all just African. And it's like, really? Really?
Mm-hmm.
So when I hear these people, and like the brother was talking about before with Dr. Umar, I mean, damn, bro. I mean, did you just see the jankiness that this dude is all about? And he's screaming out Prince of Pan-Africanism. And it's like, yeah, you're a champion for that. And look at how you moving, bro. Niggas ain't jocking that. That's not okay. And then you want to, oh, well, he started FBA, quote unquote. So I'm going to start the die file. And it's like, bro, we don't got time for that, man. That's what these cats don't understand. We don't have time. Where y'all come from, it's all janky and messed up, and y'all don't get stuff done. Over here, shit is serious. These people are trying to erase us, and y'all are helping them.
Yeah.
So, no, all y'all got to go. And for the good ones that's over here, that's not on the BS, I'm sorry. Some of y'all going to have to get caught up and go too. But right now, we have to think about us because we have done way too much to help everyone else. And everyone else has just told us basically to kick rocks. And with that, I'll land.
All right. I think that's a good way to kind of land for the evening. I think so. You know, for everybody who's all like, hey, it's an echo chamber, it's an echo chamber. No, I mean, you've been heard. You was just disagreed. Okay, come back. You see how Noah came back and Noah was able to say what she had to say, even though it wasn't much, but she left or she was removed. We're not unreasonable people. We've had a Pan-Africanist up here. We had a couple of them up here, and they were pretty much on board with what we got to say. Okay, we just need a little bit of tweaking. We'll get them there. We just need a little bit more work. Okay, they on the verge. We just need a little bit more work. But notice how you don't see us going into Pan-African rooms and trolling them.
Right.
Okay, you notice that. Notice the attack is going from Pan-Africanists to us. They're the ones calling us the co-ops and all that stuff. They're the ones who are trying to get in the way of what we got going on, even though they know what we got going on is the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm going to say this. It's not out of hatred. It's not out of spite or revenge or bitterness or anything like that. It's not out of that. Okay. This is out of self-preservation. This is out of the most logical strategy to dismantle the racist system. Because we're not going to sit up here using that horse analogy. We're not going to sit up here and have a bunch of different horses going in several different directions and expect the wagon to go anywhere. If the wagon is going to move, all of the horses have to move in one direction.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that means cutting off some of the horses, that's what got to happen. It's better to go with just one horse than go with two horses and they're going in different directions. Or one horse will move a little bit, then stop and then won't move. And then one horse has to drag the wagon and the other horse. What sense does that make? It's better to cut that horse off. So that's what we on now. That's what we on.
Brother Afro.
Yeah.
They say that there's strength in numbers, but you can clearly see on the continent of Africa, they have the numbers, but a large majority of these people in these countries just don't have the strength or the willpower to do anything. They expect other people to come in and help them. Why you think they getting loans from the Chinese? I just seen one article that's saying that Nigeria owes the Chinese $11.5 million. And they trying to shut down some satellite or something in the space area or something. I guess it has something to do with like their communication systems or something. But you clearly see that Sister Zizi was going through the pains and struggles and probably a migraine over there for messing with that tether, because he kept coming off his mic. When we basically be trying to tell these people common sense and just logic, these people do not want to listen. But if she was a YT woman, they'll be on their knees bowing down and just throwing their hands in the air like they in church. You know, straight up Tetantism, Holy Ghost vibes when you talk to a large majority of these people. They hate delineation so much that they'll come up here and just babble and try to just put it as a 50-50, split, try to blame us for certain stuff, knowing that a large majority of these Pan-Africanists will align with these YT supremacists, let alone other groups of people to go against us. And that is just so disingenuous to hear these people talk about Pan-Africanism when they can't even talk about unity and help themselves in their damn homeland. They having Asians come over there and develop their homeland, Europeans telling them what to do with their jobs. They living under harsh conditions. They getting, hands and feet put on them, roundhouse kicks to their foreheads, etc., etc. But they have the nerve to disagree with Brother Afro about what he's saying, disagree with Sister Zizi about what she's saying, disagree with the Queen BX about what she's saying. Everything we said throughout the decades, ever since we've been in this country, has been on point. Yeah, we gonna have some disagreements amongst our people, but we always try to help everybody throughout the diaspora. Y'all just don't want to help each other. Y'all don't want to unify with nobody. Y'all just want to have this thing and just want to get into eternal conflicts with foundational Black Americans. So we are cutting ranks and we expect y'all to do for yourself. Y'all didn't want to help us, and we clearly got to stop helping these people, man. I respect you, Brother Afro, for having these conversations, but it comes a time and a place on my end where I just end up blocking like 4 or 5 people in this panel, and you have the patience to deal with these people. That's why I be sitting back and listening and just be doing what I have to do. And I like how you handle your business when it comes to these tethers. But with that being said, I land my plane, brother.
I appreciate that. There's a couple of people in the chat room still. There's a few people want to come up. Listen, y'all, it's about 12 o'clock. I just got off YouTube. You know what I'm saying? There's still some editing I got to do. So we'll call it a night. All right, y'all just make sure y'all follow. Make sure y'all go to For the Culture on YouTube. Shout out to everybody on YouTube watching For the Culture. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all real. And that way y'all can join the conversation if we have this topic again or another topic similar to this. Y'all get to join it and y'all get to weigh in. All right. But we've done this before and we've had conversations that go well into 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and we're not doing that tonight. That's what we won't do.
I want to have to roast one of these tethers, this Remy Equalizer dude in the comment section. If you have a problem with me, say it to my face, but we finna end the damn panel, and I don't feel like hitting you with a bamboo stick verbally. But with that being said, thank you, brother, for letting me speak.
All right, then. Appreciate you, EJ, always. All right, just be careful on TikTok, brother. They messing with you.
Thank you, brother. I'll be careful. I'm gonna put the invisible cloak from Harry Potter on my own body so they won't see me. Thank you.
All right. Z, final words.
Bamboo's still funny as shit. Yeah, delineation is the only way, honestly. Black Americans, we need to get off that Pan-African shit. I'm sorry. They showed their hand. Honestly, they got up here. I mean, it was a cool conversation, but many of them showed their hand. This is what they do in regular. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't want to hold these people accountable. I'm not about to keep doing it. I'm tired. Okay? I'm tired physically, mentally, spiritually. Black Americans at whole, nigga, we tired. Okay, I'm not about to keep re-explaining the shit, and y'all see this blatantly. That's why I'm like, we can sit here and talk about politicians and what the white tees are purpose. We know that we under a system white tees. You cannot tell black folks, black Americans about white tea supremacy. Nigga, we taught y'all about that. So please miss us. We have the greatest teachers about that. When you learn about white tea supremacy, you're learning it through black American teachers. So please miss us about what the fuck we don't know about white tea supremacists and what they allowing and how they sabotaging. We've been telling y'all this whole time that, that's our open enemy. And you wanted to crawl up next to him. So please, I'm tired. I'm done with the Pan-Africanist shit, and I'm glad y'all brought up Dr. Umar out in Ghana and some of these other Pan-Africanists, because when his ass was in Ghana and said he ran out of money, he got right on live and said, y'all need to send me a cash app. And I'm sure he wasn't just talking about them immigrants. He was talking about he was really talking about foundational Black Americans, because he could have got the fuck out that car and walked up the street and asked them damn immigrants in the country he was in Ghana for some money. But he didn't. He got online and made sure he got the attention of Black Americans, because we were the cash at. So stop playing, and that's why y'all coming over here. Anyways, I'm done. Shout out to the channel. Shout out to the shout out to the platform. To the damn. Thank you for the gift. But I gotta go. I'm tired.
I know she said shout out to the planet. She said shout out to the earth. Shout out to the moon, the stars, the sun, the water, everybody here. Okay, shout out to all of y'all. Okay. I love y'all and hate y'all at the same time. I gotta go. That's the biggest, greatest, most wonderful compliment I've ever seen. Okay. All right then. BX, any final? You can close us out, please.
Yeah, so there's Pan-Africans that do and there's Pan-Africans that don't. I always say that Pan-Africans today aren't Pan-Africans of the past. I also have a vibe check for the Pan-Africans, but Afro dropped Q before I got to ask any more questions. I just want to say this. At the same time Dr. Umar was collecting donations to start that school that isn't running, don't let it escape you that Q Butter has 3 sites up for his school, right? And don't let it escape you, one's in North Carolina. Hint, hint, he's branched out. He's out of New York, in North Carolina. But this is what I'm trying to really say. He started collecting donations after Dr. Umar now has 3 sites. When Pan-Africans want to do something and they're honest and they're not scammers, then they get the sites running, right? And that school held one of the first all-Black, robotic science fairs in New York. Wow. So that I wanted a vibe check. Like, what do you think about reparations? You know Ghana's in New York. You think they should get reparations? Like, I had some questions, but I just want to say there are those who do and those who don't. Dr. Umar doesn't do shit but bag. And Q Butter produces results. I just need to know where these Pan-Africans stand when it comes in line with reparations, because that's where I'm going to draw the line. They can't have our hands off our reparations. But for the most part, I just want to say this. I'm tired of the tethers too. I'm tired of the Pan-Africans who throw us under the bus. There comes a time when even Pan-Africans have to delineate. And that comes when we are fighting for reparations. And they say, and some may say, oh, they all deserve reparations with us. The Pan-Africans should be saying they can't have nothing with us, but they can go after the government that actually enslaved their islands. I don't think the Africans should get anything. And I think I'll leave it there. I just wanted to enter into the chat. Stop giving Dr. Umar, because some of his people probably in this room too. Stop giving Dr. Umar your money. He hasn't produced any results. Period. That's all I have to say.
With that being said, you all have a good rest of y'all night.
Peace be one.
Be one.